Welcome. So excited to have this day be here for all of our graduates who have worked so hard. And I want to welcome you on behalf of the Department of Social Work. My name is Carol Schneeweiss, and I'm the distance coordinator for our master's degree program, and I will be kind of emceeing this today. We'll have quite a few speakers and have you have some opportunities to see your students whom you're so proud of get their hood and begin this new journey as a professional. So without further ado, let's stand up and welcome our graduates. Thank you. You can all be seated. It really is exciting, and yes, we know it's cold, and yes, we know, and some of you have come from a very long way. For those, we have two different groups here. For those of you who might not know, we have a group of students who have been in our distance program, and some of them started 3 years ago. And then we have a group of students who are our campus students, and so this is the time when these groups come together. We try to do some things throughout their time so that they have a little bit of a connection, but this is truly the time when they are joined and walk across the stage as colleagues and professionals together. So we're very excited to have such a great showing from both the campus and the distance students for this event. And thank you all for coming through the cold and for all the things that you have done across these years to celebrate and to support your student. We know that they couldn't be here without the support that you've provided them. You were holding down the fort when they were writing papers and when they were going to another internship hour and when they were being split in 3 different directions for different assignments. So you held down that fort, and so we know that you probably feel like you're getting a degree today too, and we applaud you for that. So again, we welcome you. So the events today, I'm going to, like I said, we'll have some speakers, but I'd like to begin by introducing the chair of our department for a welcome, Dr. Karen Lee Barkdal.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. It's so great to see you all here. I know they moved it to a Thursday, and we were just talking about whether that really may have impacted folks being able to get here, because we know, it's a long journey for some, and thinking about getting out in such weather over the extreme cold and ice is really something. So glad so many of you could make it, and we know many are joining us virtually. I think we had 100 folks check in virtually at the last graduation. So I'm hoping there are that many this time too. And so welcome everybody, whether you're watching from afar or from the lecture bowl this morning. We will make a link available to students so that everybody can share this ceremony. So for folks that couldn't make it with you, wherever you are, you'll be able to share this special moment. There was our former chair used to talk about this as Faculty Pay Day, and that has always stuck with me because it is the proudest moment for students, family, friends, loved ones of all kinds that join us here today. And it's the favorite day of faculty here. We watch firsthand the struggles, the sacrifice, and the growth, which is just magical. And this is, I've had a lot of different roles in social work, but I will tell you, this is the best job ever. So for those of you who might be thinking, and I'm looking at a couple of people I know who have talked a little bit about a doctorate degree that I'm spotting in the audience, go out, get some more master's level practice, and maybe think about making this one of the points in your journey, because promoting the growth of the profession by helping people become undergraduate level and then master's level social workers is a really rewarding piece of our practice as well. So maybe I'll see you back here someday. It is a great privilege to work with such fine students, faculty, and staff. Thank you, too, to the staff as well as the faculty who organized this today. So much goes on behind the scenes that it just feels seamless, but it's not. There's a lot of work goes into these ceremonies, and you're appreciated, valued, and loved. As some of you know, and I don't get to teach much anymore because that's what happens to chairs, but I have a great passion for the profession of social work. I truly believe it's a calling, and I think you guys know that. You know, this is not just a job. This is a calling as much as it is a profession. It's not something that we of course want you to put down your stress at the end of the day and have great self-care and have well-rounded and well-balanced lives, but it's kind of a 24/7 thing that's a big part of your identity, personal as well as professional, and that's special. We're unique in so many ways. Our strengths orientation, our transactional orientation to person and environment, our mandate to advocate for and with marginalized and oppressed populations. So there are two very unique and special professional mandates that we have. Unique to social work. First, to promote social, economic, and environmental justice. Ooh, what a tall order. Second, to both understand and actively fight against the mechanisms of oppression and discrimination with special care for vulnerable and oppressed and historically marginalized populations. Wow, what a tall order. But it gives me chills. Be very proud of that. Our code of ethics is also unique. And I have to tell you, it's been inspiring me daily to be in Gillette Hall, where we get to have our offices, that historic building. Barb Kramer, who teaches mostly in our undergraduate program, and some of you, yes, you're nodding and smiling, you know and love Barb. She had her undergrad communities and orgs class do some posters of the code of ethics, and some of you in the campus-based program may have seen those in the halls. And I've just loved kind of being physically surrounded by that this semester. And it's been a tough semester, and I kind of walk through there, and I feel uplifted, and I feel inspired. So I wanted to share those 6 basic tenets real briefly with the folks who may not be as familiar as you guys are this morning. Social justice, of course, is one. Service, of course, is one. The dignity and worth of every human being is one. The importance of human relationships is one. And competence is the 5th. And finally, and these aren't in any rank order, by the way, integrity, being good for your word, making those hard calls, owning mistakes, also so important to our profession. It reminds me daily as I walk past these posters and see these inspiring quotes and those words, what a better world this would be if everybody tried to live by the NASW Code of Ethics. So I know that you will, and I know that you'll wrestle with these things too, because you know how many shades of gray there are in this stuff. This is not black and white, and every novel situation brings you a new, how do I wrestle with this? How do I think about this? What are my personal values? What are the professional values? How do I reconcile those things? Where do I put this? So it's process, it's never event, it's always becoming, and it is ethics, is practice. So you'll practice that daily, and you'll have colleagues and people in your support network that you will trust to help you with wrestling with those things. And you'll know that you'll come to some different conclusions than somebody else who also wrestled with it. And that's okay. That tension is important, and it matters, and it's not going away. The work of being ethical in our society is an ongoing struggle. So embrace it and roll with it and model the best you can who I know you to be. Another thing on my mind I have to confess to you, because I don't get to teach much anymore, is I used to have this favorite graduate class. I used to teach the social work advanced graduate class with communities class. And I missed that class so much. And one of the things that I used to get to do is talk to students about the history of macro work in the social work profession. And one of the things that we kind of know is that there's ebbs and flows in the number of students who kind of come into programs really wanting to spend a lot of their careers in the macro realm. And for the most part, we see most students kind of come in thinking more micro. And those of you, and I know there are many of you in this program, but those of you who are more macro-oriented, like I was, kind of feel a little bit sometimes outnumbered and a little bit of a minority within the class. And so people ask me, well, what will it take to get more people engaged with macro work? And I've kind of always laughed about that and said, well, what it kind of takes is kind of cataclysmic times. What it kind of takes is something like income inequality being so bad, like it was in the late 19th century, that people kind of rise up and say we need some reform. What it takes is the progressive era. What it takes is the Great Depression. What it takes is the social and political and economic upheavals of the 60s. So I always say, I'd love to see more people come in wanting to do macro work from the very get-go, because many of us get there, but often as students coming into the program, that's not where our radar is. I think we may be seeing such a time. And I've always said, I don't really want to see that because it means we're going to be heading into some really rocky and tumultuous times. And I think indeed we may actually be seeing that. But I'm not without hope and optimism about those struggles. But it makes me really want to emphasize to you all, you're well prepared. This is an advanced generalist program, and we're sticking to our guns on that because we want you to be well-rounded social workers who can engage not only individuals and groups and families, but organizations, communities, policy, and the globe. You need to have those kinds of transactional skills and that kind of worldview. So I'm proud that you're advanced generalists. I think it really equips you for some of the policy and on-the-ground practice challenges ahead. And I hope that you will embrace your macro person, even if you think, oh, that's not the stuff I was good at. It's the stuff of practice, and I will exhort you and beg you to please practice it. Newt Gingrich stated yesterday, and this has been no secret, that a goal of some political factions now in ascendancy will be to dismantle Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal. Essentially, we're talking about the Social Security Act of 1935. Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. How many of you, please raise your hands, how many of you know that a social worker was the architect of the Social Security Act of 1935? Okay, well, you know it now. Be proud of that. That is, there would be then no more federal government role in the provision of social welfare in our country, if that were to come to pass. We are also, of course, looking at the possible repeal of the Affordable Care Act, which has profound implications for mental health care as well. Even with ACA, we remain the only developed nation in the world without universal health care. While NASW does not endorse candidates, we are not a neutral profession. We have numerous and evolving policy positions, and we take policy stands in support of our profession's mission and to protect vulnerable populations. So please, I know you're broke students now, but please join NASW, and they have great, malpractice insurance as well. And they're expensive, but you get a lot of benefits for that membership. Please join NASW and maybe pick one other professional association as well. Maybe a school social worker association, maybe something more policy-oriented, maybe a COSA, which is kind of the macro social work association. Pick another one. Support those collective efforts. They'll help keep you informed and improve your practice and policy work. Please stay connected to us as well. It's my dream to have a Facebook page someday. Come look at Carol, because we've debated this over the years, and I think we need to do it. And we're a little short-staffed right now, but this is a dream of mine. But the college Facebook page serves us well and features us constantly, and so that's been a really great support for us. We also are on Twitter. Anybody following us on Twitter? Okay. Anybody tweet in here? Gosh, you guys, you're young. Well, most of you are much younger than me, so think about opening a Twitter account. We're up to 498. See how close we are to 500 followers? And we push out lots of fun and celebratory news, and you can share that back with us, and I can tweet it out to a whole lot of people. So you can send pics, you can send news, you can send interesting updates about practice or policy developments, and we'll send them out routinely to you. So think about staying in touch with us that way, because we can keep you linked collectively as our alumni to us and share information with each other. Collectively, we make an impact, and it's going to be more important than ever that we think beyond maybe our traditional ways of working together at local, state, and national and beyond levels, as things that we really deeply care about are going to be a bit under stress for the next several years, I predict. You have my heartfelt congratulations on a job well done. I'm not meaning to scare you to death as you walk out today. We're here to celebrate. So know that I am optimistic and excited about our future, your future careers. You're ready to join us as master's level colleagues, to represent us well in your agencies and in our communities. My plea is that you maintain those strong identities, whatever job role you're in. I've been in a lot of jobs where they didn't require it to be a social worker, but I always identified as a social worker. And I hope that wherever you are, you will proudly say, I'm a social worker first, and then I'm a whatever else thing that you may be. And that you think of yourselves as change agents, always, wherever your paths take you. You have our confidence that you'll dedicate yourselves not only to fixing problems, but you're the vanguard of the people who will build a more just, humane, and compassionate world. Congratulations on reaching this milestone today, and welcome as our colleagues.
Thank you, Karen Lee. When she talked about being change agents, I do want to say that as a person who has the privilege of working in our field and having connection with so many of you when you're in your field, whether it's through seminar or as a liaison, I say to you, these students are already beginning that change agent. They're going into agencies and representing the profession well and making changes already. And so I have nothing but great faith in the ability of this group to make a difference and to bring about change, even if it's change about how their agency views their clients. I'm just so proud of the work that you've already done and know that you will continue to do that. So okay, the next piece of this is that we have a faculty speaker, and today the faculty speaker is our MSW director, Randy Nettegard. So I welcome him.
Good morning. I'm not using PowerPoints today, so of course I had to put them on my little cheat sheet here. For those of you that have had me in class, you know that I wouldn't have gotten through my PowerPoints anyway, because I never seem to get through all of them for the time. So I was asked to give you some words of wisdom, and I'm struggling to come up with anything new and exciting, and so I think what's going to happen is today I'm going to reinforce some things that you may already know, but it's good to go ahead and do that. When I was in my PhD program, in my cohort, which was a lot smaller than yours, we had 6 people in my cohort, but we had some time to meet with our chair of the department, and this guy was brilliant. You ever been around those people that like, you know, that you talk to them and you can hardly understand them because they're using these $10 words, but they understand what they're saying, and you're going, whoa. I mean, he was so smart. But one time we got the chance to sit down in the graduate student lounge with him and say, so, his name was Dr. Singer. So Dr. Singer, what's graduate school all about anyway? You know, what's the big deal? And he said that there were 2 things about graduate school that he thought were the most important. The first one was overlearning. And what he means by overlearning is that you learn something now so that when you forget it, it's much easier to remember it again. And don't kid yourself. I know you've forgotten an awful lot of what you've been learning so far in this last year or 2 or 3, because that's just part of what happens. You're kind of drinking out of a fire hose and you can't retain it all. That's okay. So that the whole idea is to get you exposed and know how to learn that stuff again when you need to learn that. The second part was frustration tolerance. I thought that was interesting because, like, what? Okay, frustration tolerance. So, and the more I think about it, kind of going on what Karen Lee's saying, the change process is slow, and it's tedious, and it's painstaking. And part of the reason why the change process is so hard is because people don't like giving up what they already have. We value things that we have far more than the things that we don't have. So we don't ever want to give up anything. Even if it seems kind of insignificant, we want to hold on to that because that's important. So then change requires us to give certain things up when we get certain things, and it's hard for people to do that. So I want to talk a little bit about frustration and frustration tolerance, because in my experience, frustration has been like sugar to a diabetic. It is so easy to go there. It's so easy to get frustrated. But when you take it in and when you're mired in it, it's killing you slowly. It might be not killing you physically, but it's killing your motivation. It's killing your excitement, your enthusiasm. It's killing your strengths-based focus. We certainly have seen a lot of people out there that don't have that strengths-based focus anymore, right? So let's talk about what frustration looks like. That's pretty easy. Frustration looks like what we see in other people when they're really frustrated is their productivity goes down. At least my productivity goes down when I'm frustrated. Their empathy goes down. There can be a toxicity that goes along with people that are really frustrated and really mired in that, right? Misery loves company. So that's tough. It can create its own culture in an organization, in a community, in a family system, whatever. People who are really mired in frustration lower their standards. They just phone it in. They're tired of it, you know. So they might simplify life to the point where they look at situations that are complicated and they go, no, this is the simple solution. And trust me, if you leave here and think life is more simple than when you started your program, we have failed you miserably. The whole idea is to try to get you more exposed to just how complex these things are and be able to have the frustration tolerance to stick with the complicated, tough solution. So, what does frustration tolerance look like? It pushes through the messes, and there are lots of messes in life. No matter how it looks, it's persistent. People don't give up. They challenge and hone others in the system. I heard something, I saw something the other day from a former student of mine. I thought it was so great. She showed me a cup that said, "Don't confuse your Google browser with my MSW." And so, and what I take from that is that yeah, the answer is right there in Google, right? For just about everything. You can YouTube almost everything these days, right? But you need to be able to look at it in a more complex, more difficult way and not just accept the Google browser answer. The last thing is that it's fed. Frustration tolerance you just don't have it or not have it. It's like physical exercise and physical activity and that sort of thing. And so we need to really try to look at ways to feed our frustration tolerance. So how do we do that? It's the hard way to do things, but it's the right way to do things. And so we get fed by surrounding ourselves with people, excuse me, who will help support our way of thinking and help support us through the times when things are tough, right? And some of the faculty have heard me tell this story. This is one of my favorite stories, so I apologize for the duplication for you all. But hopefully most of you haven't heard this story. When I was in Africa 3 or 4 years ago, it was awesome. First time I'd ever been to Africa. And I got a chance to go on a small safari. It was a walking safari. And we were walking through the wilderness in Africa, and we came upon a zebra. And the zebra was by itself, and it looked healthy and everything, and our guide said, "Oh, that zebra is getting ready to die." I thought, what? Why is that zebra getting ready to die? How do you know? How can you tell that it doesn't look healthy? I grew up on a dairy farm. I should be able to tell if an animal's healthy or not, right? And he said, you know it's not healthy because it's by itself. Zebras are pack animals, and they're pack animals for their own safety, because predators pick zebras off one by one. But predators don't pick off zebras in a group. Now, why is that? Because you look at black and white, and I can tell you that the jungles of Africa are not black and white zigzag like zebras are. That camouflage is to each other, so that predators can't select one over the other. And I think it's a good example for us on how important it is for us to keep that tight-knit support system, and how important that is to continue to feed that and to contribute to that. So what else do we do when we have frustration tolerance? Interestingly enough, we question everything. And I encourage you to do that. Don't just accept what people tell you. Don't just accept the way that an agency does things. Now, there's a way to do it, right? So we're not going to go into, okay, don't be a jerk about it, but do question everything. The other thing, lower your expectations, but increase your hopes. Part of my biggest frustration has been when my expectations aren't met. And the first time I was in Afghanistan on deployment, one of the first things that was said to the group of us was, lower your expectations if you want to get through this deployment. That doesn't mean that we don't expect good things, but it means that we try to keep our expectation reasonable. And finally, and I think very, very importantly, we need to recharge. And recharging are things like celebrations, like today. So I hope you have a wonderful recharging celebration today.
Thank you, Randy. Can I just, okay, you gave me the mic, so I just want to say, when he's talking about lowering expectations, please include yourself in that, because you are hardest on yourselves. And so give yourself some grace to when you're thinking about that and your frustration, that we aren't perfect and we won't be perfect. So include yourself in that, okay? So the next speaker that we have is from our distance program. And even though I practiced, I know I'm going to get this wrong. Our speaker is Sarah Pangilinan. All right, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you all so much for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the MSW distance students. I admit that when my name got thrown out there in senior seminar as a nominee for speaking at the hooding ceremony today, all the color immediately drained from my face. Having a slight fear of public speaking, the beauty of being online is that no one saw me sitting in the kitchen in my pajamas, wondering what was happening and slightly panicking. And thankfully, no one asked me to go on camera, so that was also a plus. I certainly did not feel like the most qualified person to speak, but being in a class full of social workers, the abundance of support and encouragement was motivating. Part of being a social worker is having courage and stepping out of your box. I am only one of many of the amazing and inspiring voices in this cohort, and it is my honor to represent you all today. On behalf of the class, I'd like to thank the UND social work faculty, our families, friends, and colleagues for your love and support on our journey to obtaining our master's degree. Without all of you, today would not be possible. Personally, my MSW journey started in August of 2014 as an on-campus student, commuting from Moorhead, Minnesota to Grand Forks. 2 days into the program, my family experienced a tragedy which led me to withdraw from school. The desire to obtain my MSW was still there, and the distance program provided me with the ability to continue my education while being available to my family. For many, this program provides an opportunity for those who want to further their social work education and overcoming the obstacles created by distance or life circumstances that are not conducive to attending school traditionally. As social workers, we work with clients to overcome obstacles in order for them to reach their highest potential, and this program is a good representation of that. The distance program is unique because we have access beyond the UND campus. It is inspiring to sit in a classroom with social workers from across the United States, Canada, and even the Virgin Islands. We are able to gain a fresh perspective and to grow in our profession. For some of my classmates, they are the only social workers at their agencies, so this afforded them the opportunity to interact with other social workers, brainstorm ethical dilemmas, ask questions, and re-energize their social work spark. I remember in one class we talked about the amount of professional knowledge in the room. And I think altogether it was an accumulation of 60 years of experience, which is amazing. Like our clients, we as students come from all walks of life with different experiences, different perspectives, and we have overcome challenges that have brought us to this moment and to the social work profession. Social work as a profession is as rewarding as it is challenging. I truly believe it takes a special person to become a social worker. You will witness people in their lowest points. You will see the ins and outs of poverty, witness firsthand social injustices, and at times feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. A quote from an article that I read in a social work magazine by Holly Rash called "What Social Work Means to Me" says that becoming a social worker means that we know that that what we do may never amount to a high salary or a vast privilege of power and prestige, but we work in the human service industry because we have an ambition to help others who are at a disadvantage in life chances and social mobility. Those going into the social work field have done so from facing certain experiences in their life and possessing certain characteristics that greatly contribute to their success in the field. There is a value in the characteristics of social workers. Social workers are resilient. They have courage to use their voices to advocate for others. Social workers are compassionate, they have empathy, respect the dignity and worth of people, and they care about humanity in its truest form. Those of us who have taken these last steps of this MSW program encompass what it is to be a social worker. So when I say they, I mean all of us. We have put in the work, opened ourselves up to new knowledge, and will serve society at multiple levels of the spectrum, from individuals to families to organizations and within our communities. We are not only hard workers and good students, but also good people. This MSW experience has been amazing. While it was also filled with sleepless nights, some tears, reformatting papers, and ISP nightmares, it reaffirmed why I became a social worker in the first place. You all, my classmates, inspired me. Obtaining my master's degree was always a goal and always important. Despite the many challenges on the road to obtaining the MSW degree, I, like many of you here today, can say that challenging roads do indeed lead to beautiful destinations. For my fellow classmates, always remember to have good self-care, never stop growing, never stop learning, and keep making a positive impact on the world. You do make a difference. On your hardest days, remember a quote by Dale Carnegie. Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all. Thank you and congratulations to all the graduates. We made it.
Nicely done. Well done. Thanks, Sarah. Okay. So the campus students have prepared a video to represent their journey on this path. See if I can get it to work. Well, then I guess I'll talk. Because I did think of something that I wanted to say to all of you out there, and that is that I have one more assignment for you, and I'll be really quick because it's ready. But my assignment for you is that they've been used to having a lot of adrenaline going, a lot of demands on them, a lot of push to get something done. And it's kind of hard to step down from that. And so your job is to help them now fill that time with joy and fun and family time, and not let them take on a whole bunch of other tasks that have to be done, because we want them to be able to have that balance. And so that's part of your assignment, is to help them with that. Okay, are we ready? Sure. All right.
Get yourselves together. Right. Stand up and live your life. Right. Get yourselves together. Right. Hands up high. Stand up to the devil, slowly rise and clear your throat now. You can call for their demise. Speak out, don't let the status quo define you. This is your world, just put the fear back in their eyes. There comes a time when you know there's a problem. Rise up, it's the dawn of a new day. Hands up, it's gonna be okay. Even when they strangle you, get yourselves together. Strike down all that oppose you. Look now, what have they sold you? Even if they anger you, get yourselves together. Get yourselves together. Get yourselves together. Stand up and live your life. Get yourselves together. Wake up, this could be your finest hour. Pick your head up and get your body off the floor. Hey now, don't be afraid to fight for something. This is your chance. You can stand for so much more. There comes a time when you know there's a problem. Rise up, it's the dawn of a new day. Hands up, it's gonna be okay. Even when they strangle you, get yourselves together. Strike down all that oppose you. Look now, what have they sold you? Even if they anger you, get yourselves together. Get yourselves together. Get yourselves together. Stand up and live your life. Rise up, it's the dawn of a new day. Hands up, it's gonna be okay. Even when they strangle you, get yourselves together. Strike down all that oppose you. Look now, what have they sold you? Even if they anger you, get yourselves together. Get yourselves together. Get yourselves together. Stand up and live your life. Get yourselves together. Hands up high.
What a wonderful tribute to both the profession and to all of you and your hard work. Very well done. Thank you for that. Makes me have goosebumps and be very proud of all of you again. So the next part of our ceremony is kind of the best part. I don't know. It's when we get to actually put the hoods on each of you. So I will introduce again Dr. Nedegard, who will come up and who will introduce each student as they receive their hood. And we'd ask that the faculty all come and line up here. We will be offering, make sure if you've got a camera, feel free to come in the aisle. We'll be actually hooding the students over here where Randy is standing. So feel free to come up in the aisle. We'll wait for you to take pictures. This is your moment. You've got every reason to be proud, and we want to really salute to that. So don't hesitate to come and do that.
How exciting. Now, I didn't get to choose the font with what I'm reading, so I get to sport my... I think this would have looked good with the long hair, though. So, all right, that was so awesome. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. The first student that we're going to recognize, though, is not here. Her name is Jessica Beck. She did her ISP called Developing a Website for Children of Chronically Suicidal Parents, and I was her advisor. Someone who is here is Carrie Beckerman. She did her ISP on utilizing animal-assisted mental health therapy in a public school setting, and Melanie Sage is her advisor. Next up is Carrie Buckle. He did his independent study on somatic experience of trauma, its viability for treating veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was his advisor. Next up is Erica Cerda. She did her ISP on spirituality and addiction recovery, enhancing traditional treatment models. Andrew Quinn is her advisor, but I get to hood her. Amy Charbonneau is next. Her ISP was on the impact of the Clothesline Project on male and female offenders of domestic violence. Andrew Quinn was her advisor, and I get to hood her. Nick Crocker is next. His ISP title is Cannabis as an Alternative to Opiates for Chronic Pain Management. Andrew Quinn is his advisor, and I get to hood him.
Day. Like, my wife has a job.
Sure. That's right. The next three students aren't able to be with us, but the first one is Jessie Daniel. Her ISP title was Dementia and the Natural Environment, a Social Work Perspective, and Brett Weber was her advisor. Michelle Dunkel is also not able to be with us. Her ISP title was Risk and Need Among Justice-Involved Veterans, and I was her advisor. Kimberly Eckhart is also not able to be with us. Her ISP is the role of client participation models in youth-serving agencies, an exploration of adolescence and empowerment practices when working with youth, and Brett Weber was her advisor. Justine Erickson is with us. Her ISP title was Effective Residential Reentry Mental Health Services, Guidelines to Expand and Improve Treatment, and I was her advisor. I did it wrong. But I'm going to lower my expectations of myself. It's going to be okay. I'm going to do it right there.
Take responsibility.
See, there you go. Stephanie Ewers was not able to come today. Her ISP title was Symbiotic Influence of Group Exercise and Cognitive Stability for Adults Aging in Place, and Carol Schneeweiss was her advisor. Megan Farley was also not able to make it. Her ISP title was Motivational Interviewing and Child Welfare Supervision, and Melanie Sage was her advisor. Mark Francisco is here, and his ISP title was Turnover in Child Welfare, Implications, Causes, and Solutions, and Carol Schneeweiss is his advisor. Brianne Giesler is next. Her ISP title was Supports for Transracial Adoption in Rural Communities, and Carol Schneeweiss was her advisor. Michael Hawkus is next. His ISP title was Psychosocial Impacts of Video Game Play, and Andrew Quinn was his advisor. Would I get to it? Allison Janes is next. Her independent study title is Impact of Using Animal-Assisted Therapy for People with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, and Andrew Quinn was her advisor. Emily Jones is next. Her ISP title was Using Multidimensional Grief Theory as a Context for Intervention with Military Children During Redeployment and Reintegration, and Melanie Sage was her advisor. Elizabeth Joy was not able to attend today, but her independent study title was Technology-Mediated Self-Help for Trauma Support Services, and Melanie Sage was her advisor. Deborah Kirchhofer is here today. Her ISP title was Outpatient Palliative Care, and Melanie Sage was her advisor. All right, and now I get another opportunity to go easy on myself. I made a mistake with your program. Rhonda Klimpel is supposed to be in here. Very sorry about that. Her independent study project title was Literature Review of the Behavioral Health System in the Veterans Administration, and I was her advisor. So. Emily Koenig is here. Her independent study project title was Addressing Adolescent Mental and Behavioral Health Needs in Rural Schools, Implications of Social Work Practice. And Ken Flanagan was her ISP title. Christy Quall is here. Her ISP title is The Biopsychosocial Benefits of Cycling for Veterans with Sustained Amputation or Mobility Interfering Injuries, and Todd Sage was her advisor. Celia Luquin is not able to make it with us tonight. Her ISP title was The Interpersonal Psychotherapy Used with Women Suffering from Postpartum Depression, and Ken Flanagan was her advisor. Lynn McGarry is here with us. Her ISP title was Effective Support for Caregivers, helping Native elders to age in place, and Melanie Sage was her advisor. Billie Jean Mead is here with us today. Her ISP title was Suicide Prevention and Intervention, a toolkit for the White Earth Nation, and Ken Flanagan was her advisor. Yeah, got the paparazzi here. Good job. Erin Moody is with us today. Her ISP title was Low Risk Offenders and Juvenile Justice Involvement, a manual for trauma-informed correctional offices. And Carol Schneeweiss was her ISP advisor. And as you already know, Sarah Pangilinan is with us today too. Her ISP title was Traumatic Brain Injuries in the Acute Care Setting, Exploring the Complexities of Providing Support and Services for Transition, and Andrew Quinn was her advisor. Claudia Pineda made it today. Woo-hoo. Her ISP title was Social Work Practice with Mexican Immigrant Families, and Melanie Sage was her advisor. Heidi Poplik is here today. Her ISP title was Perceptions of Social Workers in the Medical Field. Does the medical field appreciate or need social workers? Andrew Quinn was her advisor, and Kayla Alt is hooding her. Courtney Rowe is with us today. Her Her ISP title was a review of the literature on adolescent suicide risk factors, prevention, interventions, and their effectiveness, and Barb Kitko is her advisor. Jennifer Schmidt is with us today. Her ISP title was Creating Culturally Responsive Trauma-Focused Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Native American Children, and Carol Schneeweiss was her ISP advisor. Brian Vandenhull is here today with us. His ISP title was Mobile Urinalysis Testing Service and Benefits to Child Protection Services. Melanie Sage was his advisor. And last but certainly not least, Paula Venzen Potter was not able to be with us today, but her ISP title was Servant Leadership, Leading Through Service, and Ken Flanagan was her ISP advisor. I know your hands might hurt, but how about another round of applause for everybody? Nicely done. Okay, so that's it. We have some snacky food next door for people to be able to stay if they want to and mingle a little bit. I believe that all the students, they like to have them gathered together for a picture. Where are we doing that? Is it? Yeah. Yeah, sounds awesome. All right, and that's it. Thank you so much for coming.